On Friday, December 4th, Municipal Affairs Minister Pierre Moreau introduced a bill into the National Assembly, Bill C-85, which was for economic development for ports and Highway 30. The announcement caught the Mohawk Council of Kahnawà by surprise. The reaction was swift, and it was not good.
Well, there's a lot to cover, in a short time period, but what I've seen today is a total betrayal of and it shouldn't surprise me because that's been the story of our territory and our land for 400 years plus since the arrival of the European. And it's no different than it was going way back then in terms of how they view the right to that land as opposed to the real truth, which is we have, that is our territory. And this bill is just a reflection of that mentality. And the manner in which all of this was done is totally unacceptable. It's in our face. It's like saying, we're going to go ahead and we're going to develop the territory around Highway 30 without even mentioning any kind of claims. They would use the word claim, any kind of recognition that, this is our traditional territory as well as specific territory, without mentioning Kahnawà at all. It's just purely them, and we're non-existent as far as they're concerned. So it creates a scenario where, in one sense, that's not good at all. It is, as far as I'm concerned, it's fraudulent. But on the other hand, it does make it very clear what we have to do now. We don't have to tiptoe around. We don't have to be nice to anybody anymore, or as nice as we've been, in the last little while. Well, in the quick read and the quick review I did of the English translation of the proposed law, definitely they've cleared the way for themselves. They've rezoned and pushed for, or pushing for, and this is the Quebec government, pushing for all of this to happen so that they can begin to develop. The last meeting, as far as I know, that it was ever held on this matter was in August of last year. As a matter of fact, it was hosted here at Dewa Dinizakta and by the MCK and by Dewa, and we had the Minister Kelly, Minister of SAA, and at the time the Minister of Municipal Affairs, I think it was, Pierre Moreau, who organized this gathering, brought together the different representatives of the MRC, including the Mayor of Chateauguay, had a great round of discussions, talked about the future and how they work together. And after that, it was complete silence. Never heard from them again until just recently. And the way we've heard back from them now is that during that time period, they have been organizing themselves. They have been conspiring. They have been developing in absence of Kahnawà, knowing full well that we have our position on this. The lawsuit that was brought was just a front as far as I'm concerned. I consider Quebec being a part of that conspiracy, and it was done in such an underhanded fashion, which is reminiscent of the way they were all the time. Well, it's not only the good faith lands that we're talking about here. We are talking about the scenery as a whole, and the issue regarding the recognition by the federal government that we do have a grievance, a legitimate grievance. Mind you, they pigeonholed us into the claims process, which we do not recognize as being something where we should be, but that's where we decided was the best avenue to take at that point in time. So now it's come to this point where we've seen the throat cutting. We've seen the way our neighbors are, the way they act, the way they behave, so that they can do their own thing. So we have to fight back. I don't care, drop the lawsuit if you want. That's not going to change things because they now are going through the formal stages. The Quebec government and the MRC and the people in this region over here are going through the formal process of the development of this region, which is our territory and not theirs. That's the battle. If ever there was a point in time in our history that we need a rallying point, that we needed to show our solidarity and our unity amongst ourselves, now is the time, not just for this one incident, but from here on in, continuously coming to the forefront saying we will not stand for any more of these unacceptable types of incursions into our territory. Let's never put out of our mind, because this is happening on both sides of Highway 30, in particular on the north side of Highway territory, that it's not our territory. It is our territory, plainly, clearly, historically, and we need to do things to emphasize that fact to anyone and everyone in the region over here. And I don't care how much they complain about why are we never satisfied. Well, here's an example, a classic example of why we're not satisfied, why we're not happy, why we're not going to be happy until we correct this measure. And we keep pointing towards the east, Quebec City, and around us. We need to start pointing west too, and get under the skin of the federal government. They need to be answerable to this too, because they've sat back and more or less said, oh, well, it's between the municipalities and the Quebec government. The legal action is there. We have nothing to do until that's settled. So if it takes another 10 years to settle, so 10 years we do nothing, while they do all their planning and they create all their I guess, the future of their development for their own people, you know, and to hell with us, we're not going to allow that.
The announcement caused some community members to go to Highway 30 bright and early on Monday morning and cause a bit of a demonstration showing their displeasure with the way things are going. The Mohawk Council will be meeting during the week to look at other plans. Still waiting for word on whether the Premier is going to meet with Grand Chief Joe Norton as he has demanded, and we'll keep you updated as things go along.